Now, the second category, the second thing that I want to talk about, which also made this really funny to me, is this whole thing about appealing to the underdog, which is pretty much what they're doing when they are, claiming this whole thing about, you're speaking from an authoritative position, you're speaking of the establishment. This is a common tactic used by scoundrels when they really have nothing else to prove their point. They'll start saying things like, this is just, the reason why everyone believes is this, that we're being oppressed here. This is just the accepted position of the man. It's not really the truth. And we're the true champions. This is a bullshit tactic. If you actually had proof, you wouldn't have to resort to this. If you don't really have proof, but instead you just simply go, you're just simply saying that because that's what the powers that be have drilled in your head. But yet you come up with no proof, then all you're doing is trying to pull on people's heartstrings by going into the underdog position. And people can't help but fall for that because we like the underdog. We like hearing about that, that unsung hero. We like hearing about the person who was constantly kicked down and oppressed and kept from being able to voice the truth or being able to prove their worth. And then one day, that one shining day, the day where the sun is actually shining on the dog's ass, they're finally able to jump up and knock the pillars of power down. And people are able to cheer them on and they take their rightful place. And yeah, we're the leaders now. We finally got our due. And we love seeing that. And usually for good reason, because there are plenty of underdogs out there who truly deserve their day. The race realists aren't among them. They're not the underdogs. They've been in a position of power for years. It's just that now they're losing ground because we're now seeing that all their claims are unfounded. And so what do? Now they're appealing to the underdog position, which is funny because they've never been the underdogs before. At all. Again, think back to what I said earlier about the way the establishment used their positions. They used it all the time to basically keep us squabbling with each other. Yeah, you're better than the blacks, so just help me to keep them enslaved. If you happen to see them running off, catch them for me, okay? You're basically creating willing foot soldiers to help you fuck them over. Yeah, you can do whatever the hell you want to the Indians. Alright? Fuck them. That's our land. So be my foot soldier and go out there and kill them off for me and claim that land so that I can later on, use it for resources and tax the shit out of you motherfuckers and I can claim it for myself. Go ahead. Do it for me. Yeah. You guys are better than the Irish, these freaking underdog, these bastards coming in there. Just keep them oppressed and shit so that we don't have to, actually use some more of our resources that we want to keep for ourselves to, fully, assimilate them into our culture so that they can be, decent, productive citizens. We don't really want to give them shit. We want to keep them down so that I don't have to give any of my extra wealth that I'm keeping from you too, but I definitely don't want to give it to them. So be my foot soldiers and continue to discriminate against them. The establishment has had no problem doing that. You guys were never the underdogs, especially with this whole, this whole idea of, our race is better than their race, which was an old ass position that you saw back in the fucking 1700s when they were trying to come up with excuses as to why it was okay to go around and colonize a group of motherfucking people and go over and destroy their lands and and claim them for yourselves. So we're better off than these freaking savages. We're superior. That was always the establishment position, not the underdog position. But now that these views are being seen as unfounded and as unsavory as they really are, the people who want to continue to cling to this shit are now claiming to be underdogs? It's truly a perversion of the word when you think about it. And it's also very insulting to one's intelligence. Seriously. It's really, really frustrating when you see people like this try to use this type of stuff. Not just because of how, completely backwards the term is actually being used, how wrong it is. But also because this has been a tactic used by some truly heinous people for a long time now. I invite the listener to, again, not take my word for any of this, and simply research the amount of movements that we now look upon, the systems of the movements, the people that we now look upon as truly, heinous people. Look back and see how many times they've used this underdog tactic to get people to go behind them. How they've always found some way, despite the fact that they were in power, to say that these people are invading us, they're oppressing us, they're bleeding us dry, and if we don't do something soon, us marginalized, good, pure people are going to be destroyed. We need to do something about this. See how many times they appeal to that sentiment. You'll be surprised. We look back on them now and realize how horrible these people were, and how just how many of these fucking charlatans walked throughout history. And yet they had no real proof to back up their claims other than appealing to people's emotions, rather than actually using factual information, because of course they didn't have any. I have to say that it's also very easy for somebody who, quite frankly, can't get on by their own merits to take the underdog position and claim that, oh, the world is keeping me down. That's why, no one's listening to me in real. I know the truth, but it's because I'm dealing with a whole bunch of the unwashed masses are keeping me down. Or these, inferior people are somehow fucking up my perfect system that would have been perfect for me before. It's really funny because, quite frankly, if these people were as superior as they claimed, none of that would matter. They would be on top, but many of these people are not on top, and they're bitter about it. So they try to say that, oh, we're the underdogs fighting against an oppressive establishment. Fuck you. Last time I checked, I have not been benefiting from what this establishment is supposedly doing for people like me. Chris Rock one time had a really good joke about this when he was saying that all these idiots out there saying we're losing the country. He says, if you guys are losing, tell me who the fuck is winning, because it certainly isn't us. And I can attest to that. I'm being just as screwed over. The difference is I'm able to look at who are the ones who are truly screwing me over and why, and I know the idiots out there who are helping them to keep it along. You guys, however, who have no merits of your own to speak of, can't get by in your own skills, are trying to find some way out. And the funny thing is, if you really got the society that you guys were claiming for, one where you had to get by on your own talents and your own merits, you would still be in the same position that you're in now. What you're actually asking for is a society where you will not get by on your own merits. Instead, you'll get by on your own birth, your bloodline, your lineage, which is not a free society or a fair society in the least. We're going back to something that's more like a feudalistic society, a monarchistic society, one where the nobles are able to rule over the peasants simply by nature of their birth, and not by any talents or merits of their own. And that's why I find it very, very interesting that they're now taking this whole position of the underdog, that the establishment is keeping us down. To the listener, I am going to tell you right now, you're going to be seeing a lot more of this. I've been expecting this for some time, actually. Especially by people who are really hating the fact that they can no longer live in a country where simply by the color of their skin or by their genetics, they can get away with shit. Or because of what's dangling between their legs, they can get away with shit. As this country is becoming more and more filled with people who are realizing, hey, that shit shouldn't fly in a country where we claim to be about rights and privileges for all. As that's beginning more and more to grow, the people who are getting by on nothing more than just simply breathing are getting pissed off, and they want to change things back to a system where they can just simply coast by on bullshit. And so they'll claim things like being underdogs and going up against an oppressive regime. It's bullshit. But, again, don't take my word for it. Simply do the research that I ask you guys to do. I humbly ask anyway. Look at the types of people in the past who've used the underdog position for their own ends. Look at the history of the establishment when it comes to certain viewpoints that were less than egalitarian. And you'll see a pattern. For somebody who is holding on to an ideology that basically states that certain groups of people are better than other groups of people simply by nature of their birth, to then claim that they're fighting against the establishment, is probably one of the worst perversions of history and the term that I think I have seen. The sad thing is, I know this is still not going to be the height of it. Anyway, that's all I got to say. Catch you guys later. Oh, yeah, still listening even after all that? Well then, look, Subscribe to Hannibal Barker 13. Again, he has only triple digits in his subscription rate. That is fucking wrong. If you watch his videos, you'll know why that's wrong. Check his shit out. You'll see why I say subscribe to his channel. Subscribe to his fucking channel. Oh, and while you're doing that, for those of you who remember, I'm still doing the fiction stuff. That I'm still writing that story, and people have been reading it, and they say they're liking it. So if you haven't gone and checked it out yet, go and check it out. The more people who are able to read it and tell me what they think about the writing, the more I know how good my writing is to see if I can actually start to try to get published and stuff. And, also helping a broke writer also wouldn't hurt either. So, yeah, at least just go and read it. Let me know what you think. Okay, that's it. Catch you guys later.